Hey, what's going on? How you doing? How's your Monday? That's good. Mine's going pretty good too. It's early. Hope you're off to a good start. Hope you woke up feeling fresh. Hope you're ready for another episode of Nutrition Talks with Tyson the Trainer. And today we're going to be talking about nutrition. We're going to be talking a little bit extra in regards to what we talked about last week. More about I talked obviously last week about there's no perfect time to start. You pick one thing you can go after, that type of stuff, right? In today's talk, I want to cover more about when life goes to shit. When things start to go up in the air, when life gets busier, because again, there are times where you will get busier. There are going to be times where it's a little bit more chilled out. But for the most part, life just keeps going, like I said last week, there's no perfect time. There's never going to be the exact right opportunity where all the chips fall into place, where every light is green on the way to work every day, and you fall asleep exactly the time you want to fall asleep every night, and you wake up exactly the time in the morning you want to wake up, and you get to the gym exactly at the right time, and every machine is free, so you get all your workouts in exactly how you want them. That's never going to happen. Sometimes there are things where it's going to be like, oh wow, fuck man, life's going great at the moment. I've got extra time, I can do all this stuff, but it's never going to be like that because things just always, life just keeps going on, like I said. And so it's more about when these times get hectic, when these times get busy, what are you going to do when these things happen, all right? How are you going to stay on track? Because this is one thing that I work a lot with my clients on too. A lot of clients, surprisingly, when things get hard, they have these expectations in their head that they're supposed to be doing this, and then I get a message from them I haven't heard from for a while, or they miss out on the check-ins here and there, and then I get a message from them saying, hey, I think I need to stop coaching at the moment. Life's just too hectic at the moment. I'm just trying to do this, or it's just this. And for me, it's not like, oh well, all right, off you go. I guess life's too hard. It's actually helping them take a step back and looking at the bigger picture, because when you're like, oh, life's too hard, life's too busy at the moment, or I'm trying to do this, what you're basically saying is my health is not a priority at the moment. I'm just going to try and get through this. And there's not like for me to help them understand, it's like your health just doesn't go on the back burner. I'm like, look, if you want to stop coaching, that's one thing. But what are you going to do? Because your health just doesn't stop. You don't just say, oh, I've just got to get through this period of life, because you don't just turn off looking after yourself. That's never a good strategy for anyone. Yet it's the easiest thing for us to do because things get so overwhelmed and we have these expectations where we think we need to be doing X, Y, and Z, when instead of giving it up altogether, you have to just take a step back and reassess your goals altogether, okay? And it's not for you have to completely overhaul everything forever. It's just looking at the period of time that's coming up. So again, as you guys listen to this, it's April, right? You got 2 months until the end of financial year. May, June? Yeah, 2 months until the end of financial year. Some of you, probably busiest time is around the financial year for your work, okay? So what are you going to do? Are you just going to say, oh, fuck it, man, this month nothing's going to happen just because, I've got to work extra. Okay, so because you've got to work extra, let's say you're working 8 hours a day, now you've got to work 10, 12 hours a day, which is a big day, you're just not going to eat right. You're not going to focus on your food. You're not going to try and make good choices. You're not trying to get to sleep on time. You're not going to try and do a little bit of activity. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to put it all on the back burner. Because that is the biggest surefire way to throw away the progress you've made and to just neglect your health, all right? And again, it's easy to do because it's like, oh, this is all just too much. But it's like, instead of just saying, oh, it's all too much, again, this black and white mentality, we need to step back and you need to reassess with what is realistic for you over this next X amount of time, right? And this is where, when you're able, this is also why I enjoy, me being the coach, is because when someone gets in that headspace, and I help them take a step back and refocus, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, actually, you know what? I can do that. Oh yeah, sweet, I can do that. No dramas. And it's like, yeah, because you and these people, you put expectations in your head where it's like, they're your expectations, okay? You can change your own expectations, believe it or not. You think you have to be doing X, Y, and Z, where it's like, is that going to be realistic? Again, I talked about it on a podcast a while ago about, trying to follow someone or chasing the wrong thing when you're trying to compare yourself to someone who's not in the same lifestyle as you at all. And it's like, well, hang on, take a step back and think about for yourself, what are your goals? What's going to be realistic? The same thing where it's like, okay, well, now you're comparing yourself to who you were X amount of time ago, where it's like, things have changed. I got a client, her son is growing up, and she's had a lot of other stuff she's had to put on hold. Her training's not as frequent as she can do. Things come up all the time. Like being a single mum, it's hard for her to be able to do all these things. And she kind of got, a little bit down on herself. And I was like, whoa, hang on. Like, let's reassess. Let's think about where you are at the moment. And like, your life's changed, You used to be able to go to the gym 5 days a week. You used to be able to get up and go for a walk every morning. You used to be able to go and do these things. But, life has changed and you can't do that anymore. And we can't just be, again, comparing ourselves to our previous self if our lifestyle is not the same. Okay, and you got to stop doing that, because again, it's like, oh man, well, a year ago, 6 months ago, I could do this. And it's like, okay, well, guess what? What do you want to do then? Because you used to be able to do that, but what can you do now? All right, you're just going to keep feeling shitty about yourself. You're going to keep hating the fact that you can't do what you used to do because your life circumstances have changed. Well, then fucking throw yourself a pity party, man. Because nothing else is going to change. I can say, oh man, fuck. When I was single, I could go to the gym even more. When I was single, I could go to bed at 8 o'clock every night. I didn't have a TV. I could do that. Well, fucking... Okay. Well, if I'm complaining about that, do something about it, right? Otherwise, you adjust to your life circumstances. And of course you do. Same thing. With anything in life happens. Your job gets more hours. You're doing other travel, all that stuff. You just readjust and refocus. And this is where I like to take clients through this exercise and being like, all right, let's look at this next month coming up. You can do this at the start of every month. Because I ask them in their check-ins, what's going to be an upcoming barrier? You can ask yourself this question. What's coming up in the next month or 2 months or 3 months? Like, is anything going to change work-wise, lifestyle-wise, any of those things that you're going to have to take a step back and reiterate on? Do you have to change your training habits for a few months? God forbid you go from 5 days a week to 3 days a week. God forbid. Fuck, man. Because everyone gets so, you guys get so scared about losing all of your progress, yet you're like, I'm going to quit everything, or I'm going to keep hating that I can't do everything I used to do, where it's like, why don't you just find a middle ground and figure out what you can do realistically at this time? Because that's better than throwing it all away, firstly. Much, much better, because you're taking care of your health. Secondly, it's like, again, you are learning to deal with life. Because this isn't the first time it's going to happen. It's not the last time it's going to happen. So think about the month ahead and be like, okay, realistically, again, you're not going to be able to forecast exactly a month. Things are going to come up. Events are going to come up and shit like that too. But if you can realistically look at and think, like, if you're going to have a busy period, all right, what can I do? What's the least amount I can do? Like, again, I'll take you back to my other client. She's a teacher. She got a first year, like, getting into it, really finding her feet. And she's like, look, I'm flat out at the moment. I'm not, like, she's like, I just feel like this is a little too much. And I was like, okay, well, how about we take a step back and let's look at just doing some simple stuff. And she's like, yeah, okay. And I was like, what's realistic for you that we can actually focus on? I don't care about you trying to diet. I don't care about you counting your macros. Like, what's realistic that we can do? And she goes, protein every meal. That's what I can focus on. Sweet. All right, good. We've got a win. We've got something there. Because at the end of the day, like, something is better than nothing. And focusing on protein every meal is still taking care of your health. Okay? And then you might be like, all right, well, actually, I want to do protein and veggies. Fantastic. Because you're still making a conscious decision. You're still making I can't think of the word that I'm trying to think of. It'll come to me. But, you're making a decision, I guess, let's just say a decision, to still make sure you are looking after your health somewhat. And that's what's most important here. Pick something you can do. Like I say, when you get started, pick something you can do that's so small. The same thing when you have to regress, pick what's realistic. And stop getting upset at yourself if you can't do what you used to do because of X amount of circumstances. This may be for a month, this may be for 3 months, this may just be how life goes on for a while, okay? And it's like, you roll with the punches. What can you do training-wise? You used to train 5 days a week, now you can only train 3 days a week. You used to train for an hour and a half, now you can only train 45 minutes. Okay. Well, like, are you going to lose progress training 3 days a week? No. And, like, this is also the thing that you guys need to understand. You don't lose when you're still doing stuff, right? People are like, oh, I'm going to lose my results. Why? As if, like, if it was that easy for us to gain and lose results, then fuck, man. People would die very quickly if the body was so quick to drop what you gained and then basically drop what you've achieved in a long period of time. So, like, you're training for, let's say, 18 months. And then for a 3 month period, you aren't able to go to the gym as consistently. If you lost all of that of 18 months of hard work, then fuck, man, we are the body is a very, very fragile thing. And thankfully, it's not fragile. You can maintain very, very well doing a least amount possible. Like I said, you can do 3 45-minute sessions a week. I can guarantee you can maintain exactly what you've got. And this is all you're trying to do here. It's not about, oh, I can't keep making results. Well, guess what? No, you probably can't make results for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with being able to take a step back, being like, okay, look, it's too hectic for me to diet at the moment. I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to focus on my dieting. I'm going to do 3 45-minute sessions a week of training, and I'm going to make sure that I still try and get 7,000 steps a day, if I can, realistically. And then I'm also going to make sure I get protein with every meal. Okay, sweet. Real easy to do that. 3 45-minute sessions a week. Trying to get some protein in every meal, trying to get some steps in. That's not a big majority of your time. It's not going to take up a lot of mental space. And most importantly, it's going to make you feel better. Because another thing that people forget is your mental health is supported so much by your physical health, okay? That doesn't mean being jacked, doesn't mean being ripped, doesn't mean having low body fat. It means your activity, moving, exercising. These things are good for your mental health. And if life gets too hectic and you're like, oh, I can't do anything, your mental health is going to deteriorate. Because movement creates motivation. Movement creates momentum. Movement creates a good feeling in the body. Humans are meant to move. I don't know if people know much about history, but the way we kind of got to where we were endurance. Endurance was our benefit, okay? We weren't the fastest animal. We weren't the strongest animal. We would just make animals tired and kill them. We used to walk after a horse for a week and chase it down, and then you just keep going after it. And because the heat, it was so hot, right? We sweat to release heat, to cool ourselves down, that's what I should say. We sweat to cool ourselves down. Animals don't sweat. Animals pant, right? That's how they cool themselves down, like by breathing. So humans would just keep walking after an animal and just tire it out. And because it would just try and pant and cool itself down, and it couldn't, whereas humans could just sweat, they would just keep walking after it and it would run for a certain period of time, and then it'd have to rest, and then it'd run, and then it'd have to rest. And eventually, they'd just exhaust the thing and just fucking kill it. Right? Endurance. We moved all the time. Humans used to do, I think it was 15 to 20,000 steps a day they estimated, was it? Maybe 16,000 steps a day, I think they estimated. So think about that. So I think that would be 12, 12 Ks a day of just walking, give or take, 12 to 15 Ks, which is a decent effort when you think about that. And I know obviously people run that and stuff like that now, but imagine that every day you're just walking, doing 12 Ks a day, out in the fucking wild, whatever you're doing. We were just meant to move. So we are bipedal. We are on 2 feet. We are meant to walk around. So movement will help with your mental health. And that's why even when people are getting stressed and stuff, I'm like, go outside, get some sun, go for a walk, listen to some music, clear your head, because everyone feels better with exercise. No one's like, oh man, I did an exercise session and now my mental health is just the shit. No, because what do? When you go and exercise, first, it's it takes you have to focus on the exercise at hand. You can kind of passively think about things, but you're more in this little focus zone, right? Whether it be in the gym or outside exercising, whatever it's going to be. You're taking away your thoughts, or you can run through your thoughts basically because you're moving, and it gets that brain thinking basically. Get blood flow going through you. And so with this, this is such a beneficial thing. So it's as when life gets hectic, it's how can you still take care of your physical health because it's going to mentally benefit you. And the same thing as eating, let's say quote unquote well, right? Getting your fruits and your veggies in, your whole grains and your protein and stuff like that. It's not like being perfect about it, but it's think about trying to get some veggies in for the day. Think about trying to get some protein in, think about trying to get some fruits. Why? It's not because they're healthy, okay? It is, but it's also because the benefits of the vitamins and minerals you get for them improve your overall well-being. If you eat like shit, you will feel like shit. And it's not to say that, again, you guys know how I am, it's a whole 80-20 approach. But we all know, if we have a weekend of just eating absolute fucking rubbish, you physically feel like shit. You mentally feel like shit. Why? Because you're not giving your body anything good. We still have nutrients in junk food, don't get me wrong. But you know the difference between eating well and not eating well. We want to find that balance, because if you flip, I should say, that 80-20 approach, whereas 80% processed, high calorie, low nutrient density food, you know how shitty it feels. You feel sluggish, you feel tired, you got no energy, you just feel like, ugh. And then when people say, oh, I can't believe how much better I feel eating well, it's like, yeah. Like you're eating enough fiber so you can regularly go to the fucking bathroom, you know? You're getting enough vitamins and minerals so it's actually helping you function in life. And so when you are, when times get tough, it's not about, oh, you just need to show up, you just need to do what you do. No, like you're going to have to change things, but aim for some bare minimums. Aim for some things that are going to keep you afloat. Because when you can keep afloat, like just by doing the bare minimums, it means you're just taking a break. You're maintaining what you've got and you're able to keep that. It's not about, oh, well, I can't keep dieting, man, I'm going to fail. No, there's nothing wrong with maintaining your weight with where you're at while things get a little bit shit, while life gets hectic. Or again, maybe you have to make a full adjustment and life's going to be hectic for the next year. Because we have to think about this long-term approach. I keep telling you guys, like, health and fitness isn't a fucking 12-week thing. It's not a 12-month thing. It's the rest of your life. You should always be doing health and fitness, Like, it's always going to be a part of you. Because without your health, you got nothing. And it's not like, oh, well, you better fucking go to the gym. Man, if all you can do is go out for walks every day, and maybe you do some, like, even bodyweight stuff at home. Like, we're so quick to write off things. Oh, I can't go to the gym. Okay, so you can't do any exercise at all. Oh, I mean, look, I can do bodyweight stuff, but what? Nothing. You can do bodyweight stuff. Like, literally, that is better than nothing. But yeah, we're so quick to write that stuff off because it's not the gym. It's not the dumbbells, not hitting the weights. Like, what's the point? Oh, I can bench press 100 kilos. What am I just going to do, push-ups? Yeah, you probably fucking could just do some push-ups, to be honest. Is it going to be the exact same result? No. Is it going to keep your body moving? Yes. Is it going to help keep you a little bit healthier? Absolutely. Oh, but I can back squat this. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't have a hack squat machine. Or I don't have this. What, so you can't do some fucking bodyweight squats at home? Go, like I tell you what, you want to absolutely know how you can just fuck your legs up in one session, bodyweight style only. Go out for a walk and do as many lunges as possible. Just walk and lunge for as long as you can. As many as you can. And then message me the day after, how your legs feel. Because you will be ruined. Just by walking bodyweight lunges, alright? 400 meters, 500 meters, just go for it. Like half a kilometer of lunging if you can. You probably won't be able to. You probably won't be able to get to over 100, alright? I got to 180. And I couldn't physically straighten my leg out anymore because there was so much blood in my legs. And I was like, holy fuck. And then for 4 days, I've never been so sore from a leg workout before. And that was just walking bodyweight lunges, okay? Go and find a chin-up bar and see how many chin-ups you can do in a row. Break, chin-ups. Break, chin-ups. You're going to have sore arms, sore biceps. There are bodyweight exercises that you can do that will still cause a good amount of disruption in your muscle and still help you get results, or let alone keep results, okay? Like there are outside park, what are they called? Park gyms, are they? Like, just pieces of equipment and stuff like that. There's always a workaround, and you have to have that optimistic approach, okay? And like, this is the biggest thing I want to encourage people. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, just do something. Because I know how much of an important thing it plays for your mental health. Like, for me, I need to exercise. Like, it's not like, oh, well, I'd like to because it's like, I need to because my brain is so much better for it. I will fucking have a shorter temper. I will be a grumpy cunt. I will be moody. I'll be like a fucking 3-year-old, basically. Kicking, screaming, crying, having tantrums over the little things because I didn't move my body, because I didn't go and exercise, I'm assuming, like, because I exercise, I also burn off some energy with my ADHD, but, like, it is night and day difference. I go to some cardio, or I'll go to some workouts, oh, I feel so much better for it. And again, it doesn't have to be a long session, 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is. But just think about, like, take a step back and reassess when things get hectic. Don't throw it all away. There is nothing wrong with trying to do the bare minimum and stay afloat for a short amount of time. And there's nothing wrong with setting little things. If it was just like, okay, I need to get veggies once a day, and that's all I'm going to focus on. Good. Because everyone's going to be on a different path. And I don't care what path you're on, the most important thing is you're staying on the path. Because the worst thing you'll do is you'll say, I'll get back to my health and fitness later on, and the next 2 months when things quieten down. All right, well, how much harder is it? You know exactly what I mean. How much harder is it when you stop and try and get back into something? A few weeks later, I can't really be bothered to go to the gym. Like, it's just so much effort to start like I say, like pushing that boulder up a hill, so hard to push it up a hill. You eventually get some momentum because the hill starts to become less of a decline. It gets a little bit of momentum. But as soon as you let it go, it's so much easier for it to go backwards, and then you have to push it all the way up again. It's much easier to go down than it is to go up. Same thing, it requires zero effort to do nothing. For me to sit in this chair right now, it requires me zero effort to move my legs to do anything, okay? As soon as I get up and start moving, I'm physically using energy. That requires, to create energy. Sorry, you have to use energy to make energy, basically, right? Now I lost my train of thought when I was saying that. I threw myself off. Momentum. It takes energy to create momentum. That's what I was trying to say. Fucking hell. It takes energy to create momentum. It takes no energy to stop or let momentum go, And once you get in that bad momentum where you're sitting around doing nothing, it is very hard to start building yourself back up. And then what's going to happen is when you finally start to get back into it, you're also going to think and be like, why the fuck did I stop this? Oh, man, I wish I just did this. And it's like, yeah, well, you fucking could have. All you had to do was just change your mentality about this all or nothing thing. There's black and white, like, I'll take care of my health after. Oh, might as well. Like, it's like, people who want to diet. If you're not dieting, it's like, then you're not really trying to do anything. It's like, that's not how it works. Like, still taking care of your health is important, whether you're dieting or not. Like, dieting and health are not interrelated, correlated. There are people who have, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, that person's dieting, yeah, they're taking care of their health. Oh, when you're not dieting, no, you don't worry about it. Like, what? Because I'm not dieting, or, for me trying to gain, because I'm trying to do that, like, I don't follow daily habits, I don't move properly, I don't do the things that are still promoting health. No fucking way, man. Like, you do health regardless of your goal, with body composition. Health is just being healthy and taking care of yourself. So just take a step back and just have a breather and just think about, what are you going to be able to do? What's the bare minimum you can do? And it's always good. Like, at the start of the month, I think it's a great reflection tool to be able to just take some pause, think about the month coming ahead, knowing what social events are going to come up, how you're going to work around it. One thing I actually did, which, oh my God, I have Google Calendar, and I always put things in Google Calendar. I'm trying to remind myself to always put things in Google Calendar. But sometimes, like, Angie and I would plan something, or Angie's got something on, and I don't have the shared Google Calendar. I've got enough shit on my calendar as it is. And I only have like that week view. I think it's like the week view, so you can kind of look at all the bars and stuff. And if you go on a month view, you can't really see anything. You have to like scroll through or tick on the boxes or whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't know what's coming up in 3 weeks' time. Like, fuck, what's coming up in 3 weeks' time on the weekend? Oh, is it this? Is it the 22nd of this, or is it the 17th? Okay, well, guess what? Blow me away. We brought a physical calendar. And I'm like, wow, this makes it so much easier to look at the events coming into my life each month. It makes me, I'm like, okay, sweet. I know what's happening, like, months in ahead now. Because, we've been invited to, like, friends' weddings, engagement parties, birthdays, and stuff like that. And now I can just, like, all right, so this person's on April what? All right, let's put that in. Do we have anything on that date that's going to... So then I can obviously say, yes, I'm coming. No, I'm not. Or, do I have free time? Yeah, sweet. I'll put it in. Bang. Then I know, oh, okay, I know what's coming up. And, like, for me, during the week, I'm thankful, obviously working for myself, I'm not going to have such big days where it requires me to have to make sacrifices around. Like, I am in a very good spot that, like, with my job, obviously, doesn't require me to have to make sacrifices to looking after my health. I'll still always prioritize my health first. But the weekends, like, things get busy and, like, fuck, man, some days, when some weekends you just want to absolutely do nothing. So now I just mark out bits on the calendar where I don't want to book anything in. And so if someone asks Angie, hey, what do you want? Are you and Tyson doing anything this weekend? And I've got lines in the calendar, like just like diagonal lines. She knows I don't want to fucking do anything. She can go and do something. I don't want to, right? Because some weekends I just want to chill and do nothing. I'm exhausted. I like my routine. I like going to bed early. I like all that stuff. And so it's like, now I've got it marked out. And like just having a physical calendar to look ahead of time has made my life so much easier. And like, I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, wish I did this fucking 7 years ago. Yeah, like literally 7 years ago. It would have made my life so much better organization-wise. I only started using Google Calendar last year. I used to write things in like my notes in my iPhone, which I still do, but it was like, trying to organize my weeks and my months in my iPhone and my notes. Terrible system. Scatterbrain. And it reminds me too, when I was younger, Mum used to have a physical calendar. And like, we would always look to see what was coming up. She had everyone's birthday there. It was actually funny. Every December, she'd buy a calendar for the next year, right? And then she'd look at everyone's birthdays and stuff and write them all in. Things that already events were there, she'd write them all in. And I used to think, fuck that. Like, I would never spend one. It wasn't even like a day. It was like, well, let's say 2 hours of doing that. And I would always be like, no, I could never do that. And now I'm like, wow, I'd love to be able to do that, you know? Once on a weekend, it takes us 20 minutes or whatever, if that, like 15 minutes, to write out the events that are coming out ahead. So, I can't believe something so small makes a big difference. But it does. And the same thing for you. You might have work meetings that are going to come up. You might have, again, birthday events that are come up. Especially for those of you trying to diet. Instead of being like, oh, fuck it, you know, I've got this thing coming up. Why don't you look at the next month and decide where you're actually going to say, or the next few months, all right, I'm going to do 12 weeks of dieting. So I've got from, let's say, April 1st until end of May, June, July. Yeah, end of July, right? What's after July? August. From April 1st until August 1st, basically. Sweet. Then you look and you're like, okay, do I have any events coming up? You go to your Facebook events, you have a look. All right, I've got 2 30th birthdays. So bang, bang, got those 2 in. Okay, one's in end of April and one's in June. Perfect. What other events you got? All right, I got a work event on this one. Cool. So then you look at that and you're like, okay, well, I've got 4 events on, let's say, in this time. This is a great time for me to diet, okay? Perfect. Good. Now you know what's coming up. And so it's like on those 4 days, doesn't mean you have whatever the fuck you want, doesn't mean you go bizarre, like blow it all out, but you've got a little bit of a structure there. And if there's more structure, if you know what's coming up, you can navigate things, you can plan ahead of time. You can know, okay, this week I've got this, so I'm probably not going to see as much results, but I know that I've committed to this. And then you can also decide to say no to certain things with these events coming up. Because if you see that you've got back-to-back events all through April, do you think it's going to make your dieting easier, or do you think it's going to make dieting harder? So it's all about the strategy side of things, looking ahead in the future and structure, and like, you know, just having some organization. I'm so big on organization now, and I think it's for me, like, organization really helps me mentally, just like feel less anxious about fucking everything going on, and being able to see it physically. I'm like, okay, like, this is easy to navigate. But a lot of us don't. A lot of us just keep it all up in our head, and then you forget events. You know, you've said yes to 2 events on at the same time, and you're trying to decide which one you're going to go to. All these things like that. It's like, this could all be avoided if you had a little bit of, you know, extra time. So what I would say in regards to that, again, taking a step back, every start of your month, if you can, plan out your month ahead, or even, you know, have a look at what's coming up ahead. Go buy a physical calendar if you haven't. Put it on your fridge so you can look at it every day, every week, whatever you're going to do, so you know the events coming up, okay? Then you can navigate life around it a little bit. For those of you who, you know, you've got your Zoom meetings and all that shit booked, again, same thing. Have a look with, like, you know, when's your busy period going to come up? What do you got to block out? Where are you going to make time for that stuff? If you're going to make, another thing, if you want to make commitments to the gym, why don't you just put meeting in your Google Calendar if you're sharing it with your colleagues and bosses and stuff like that? 7:30 in the morning, whatever time, like, why don't you just put a half an hour meeting thing in there, unavailable? Why not? I got a client, like, when she first told me that, I was like, oh my God, that's fucking great. She's like, yep, from 2 p.m. until 3 p.m. every day, I'm unavailable. And I always tell people I've got a meeting, because I do. I have a meeting with myself, and it's me going to the gym. And I'm like, fucking oath, man, good on you. Like, now again, it's not probably realistic for everyone, but like, block time out for yourself. Having a calendar there just makes that stuff a lot easier. And again, it just helps you navigate life, especially when things get hectic, because there are going to be times when things get hectic, right? And just for an example for you guys, like, this is a perfect example for looking after your health and fitness, okay? I'm going to go to Europe for 6 weeks. What do you think is going to happen in 6 weeks in Europe? You reckon I'll gain some weight? Maybe. But like, what's the bare minimum I can do on a daily basis? Well, stay on my feet and walk around. Fantastic. Gonna get some steps in. What else can I do? Try and choose majority of my meals having some protein sources. Pretty easy. Or I can just, you know, on a shop on the way, buy some protein powder, buy a protein shake. There's still shopping centers over there. God, you know, surprise, surprise, there's still shopping centers. We can buy some, you know, protein sources. Like, for me, I'm like, okay, keep my protein up. Can I choose veggies? Yep. What else can I do? Can I work out? Probably not every day. Depending on where we stay, shit like that. What else can I do? I can do the hotel gym when there are gyms available. I can do 30-minute sessions. I can do some bodyweight stuff. I could go for jogs. I could swim in the pool. I got options there. I just look at like, what can I do? Not like, oh, I can't do. Like every time you get in the I can't, it's too hard. This is gonna be, oh my, like don't think about that. Think about what can you do, okay? Because when you get stuck in the mindset of I can't, it just shuts you down. You know, there's no more thinking, there's no more optimism. There's just like this black and white, like, oh, well, that's physically not going to happen or whatever it's going to be. It's like, well, hang on. Let's fucking take a step back and think about what you can do. And it's so eye-opening when you change that versus I can't versus what can I do, because opportunities, things you didn't see before will come out. And there's like, it's just like, I really think you have to get out of your own way at the end of the day. Because, you know, who are you to say, oh, well, that's not good enough? Like, who are you to say that it's not good enough? Just you. You're just you. Right? And you're like, oh, well, you know, well, I'm not going to fucking do that. Like, that's pointless. Okay, tell me how much you know about this again. Remind me. Oh, right. Okay, yeah, you don't really. You're just going to say it's pointless because you see influencer, fitfluencer, fucking XYZ talking about this, and it's like, who the fuck are they? Again, like, there is the good enough side of things. Honestly, like, people don't realize how little you can do to maintain what you've achieved and be good enough. And that's what we should always be aiming for. I always want to keep coming back to this, to reiterate that good enough, to get it in your head. Right? So, if you found it helpful, as always, please give it a share. It's easy. Just click the share button, tag me, tell me you enjoyed the episode, tell your friends about it, because the more people I can help, the better. And I hope that gave you a bit of information about how to keep your head afloat when things get hectic. Until next time, my friends, I will speak to you then.